Welcome back. This is Jazz Alive. I'm Billy Taylor, and this is the 1980 Chicago Jazz Festival. And we've got all kinds of good things coming at you from Chicago's Grant Park. We're coming to you live on the satellite. Chicago Jazz Prism is the title of tonight's show. And, you know, the blues have been associated with Chicago for many years, and rightfully so, because the blues go back a long time. The blues have been called a secular spiritual. It's very much a part of the blues to sing about an individual point of view. The individual who may be a blues singer or maybe a pianist or maybe just someone who plays the harmonica or just sings and just kind of expresses not only his or her own opinion, but kind of focuses on what is apropos to the particular group. On the south side of Chicago, the blues came to town. The blues had been a country kind of music. It had been the kind of thing that on the back porch or out in the field or after the work was done, somebody kind of settled down and expressed him or herself. But when it came to the city, it came to some clubs out on the south side that were representative of the feeling of those Mississippi people and the kinds of things that when people came to work in the factories and when they came to do some of that blue-collar work, that they had to let down, and they had to let down in a certain way because they were muscular people for the most part, and the things that they expressed had a lot of energy, and they needed some room to express that energy. Chicago's a big, sprawling town, and the South Side had plenty of room and plenty of clubs where the beer flowed and the piano was available in the back room there, and they began to tune up to some electronic instruments, and all kinds of things began to happen when the blues came to town. The blues did come to town, but it came to town and didn't lose any of its country roots. It had a certain kind of flavor that represented those folks from Mississippi, those folks from Texas, even some of those folks from Kansas City, which wasn't that far away, and it wasn't that far south. It was west, and it was another kind of blues. But it all came together in something that became known as the South Side kind of blues, and certainly it's reflected in the work of Muddy Waters, it's reflected in the work of Son House, it's reflected in the work of a lot of people, some of whom actually didn't spend that much time in Chicago, but the kind of feelings that were crystallized in on the south side of Chicago were the kinds of things that we're going to be dealing with when Muddy Waters comes on. One of the men who has made Chicago blues the distinctive sound that it is, and a man who as much as anyone has been a catalyst on Chicago's West Side blues scene, is guitarist Jimmy Dawkins. Michael Cascuna talked with Jimmy earlier this week and asked him if he ever gets discouraged by the record industry's indifference to genuine West Side Chicago blues.
Yeah, because, the blues has been the thing that everybody loved, but they always try to hide it, When you go to their homes, they always would play the doo-wop and the soulful stuff, and still the blues is the records that they really want to hear, but you wasn't in the good times or the big times if you didn't, if you played the blues, So, yeah, the way the Chicago blues have went, it have modernized by being a offshoot for a lot of the other music that sprang up. The blues itself did grow some too to a wider audience, like B.B. King's music. I don't think it changed so much, but I think by being with after he went with a bigger company like ABC or so forth, it was spread to a wider audience. Mm-hmm. And it got blues musicians that didn't get into these places, but it still got us, a head start into, bigger directions by just the people that did get the national exposure or worldwide exposure, So
there always seemed to be a delineation between, at least within the city, between South Side blues and West Side blues, I guess, is best typified by people like Magic Sam. What is the difference, really?
Well, we on the West Side, we had to play more strenuous because we couldn't afford the musicians, to have the bigger bands. Like the South Side Club and the South Side musicians always could have, they did always push the bigger bands, with saxophones and so forth. Actually, the West Side sound is just raw blues, just as it is, you grits, bacon, and eggs, and that's, if you had you maybe not know bacon, but you still, you just played, and the West Side sound, really, I don't hear it too much, and most what I have heard being described as West Side sound was me and Magic Sam. Was the rawest sound that I've heard. Luther Allison was more, into the swing type of T-Bone and B.B. King. Magic Sam and me was always a raw sound. Freddie King was just three pieces with Mojo Elam and T.J. McNulty, but he still was into the T-Bone or the swing more, the familiar sounds of B.B. So I just see the West Side sound really not just only Magic Sam and me, but the one that's a little better known. Because Junior that played with Muddy Waters was playing with Muddy Waters, Luther Johnson, and Hip Link Chain. They play the style of the West Side sound, but it's all kind of, Magic Sam and the raw sounds like I was playing.
Right.
Yeah, that about it sums up the West Side sound, Yeah.
With all the blues talent that lives throughout this city, is there enough clubs now? Is there enough activity to keep everybody working and keep everyone creative and happy?
No, not clubs that would do you any good, because it's different now than it was in the early 70s or the middle 60s, because you had the black clubs. But now since the whites have turned on to the blues, I know they turned on to it before that, but most of the musicians, the band members, they don't want to play just places that they're not going to be appreciated. The black clubs, they want the soul stuff, and everything you play, they're still hollering for something else by the bigger national fame bands and things. So what we have is Bitty Mulligans and the Wise Fool and Kingston Man and clubs like this. We don't have enough of them, because all the blues musicians, they want to play to a wider audience. I can't say black musicians anymore, because we have as many. All the bands are mixed, including my band, and everybody's band mostly now is mixed with black and white,
Is there any problem in having a mixed band, or is that pretty much a thing of the past?
I never had a problem with having a mixed band. It's because I never hired a man because of the color of his hide. I always wanted him for his talent. And I have a drummer, Jim Schutte. He was around with Luther Allison, different bands. Been in blues about 5 years now. Most of the time he spent it with me, and he's the best drummer I ever had. And I don't care if he was green or purple, he's a good drummer, and I just hire musicians for their quality. And the guitar player, Bill Flynn, he lives in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and he's been following me around wanting to play the blues since he was about 12. I played a job up in Green Bay, and about 3 years ago he joined the band, And he just played more blues than a lot of black guitar players, so I don't care about I would have been out of music long ago if I would, been pulled by the string, being a puppet. But I always did what I want to do, and I want musicians, if he's qualified, no matter what color he is. And I wish the media would play records that way instead of race records. They don't use the term no more, but that's what's going on. Yeah, that's a fact. And you don't find many musicians like me will talk about it, but it's a fact, and I don't care what happened. I mean, if I don't ever play another gig, I just tell the truth. I know it hold you down, but so it do.
And that's the interview with Michael Kaskuna and Jimmy Dawkins. And Jimmy is really a person who expresses himself not only well through his music, but certainly he has a lot to say about the difference between the West Side sound of the blues and the South Side. A very distinct difference, according to what he's saying and what we hear. My introduction to the music was through Bill Brunzi many years ago out in the South Side, and that was a rather different kind of blues from anything I'd ever heard. It was really very raw and certainly a very easy to listen to and a very exciting and energetic kind of blues. A lot of things happening there. We have a lot of things going on here in terms of setting up for the next group, and we're going to have George Spink to give us an idea about the people who are producing this particular festival. They produced it last year and produced it before. I had the pleasure of talking with George sometime before when this was just kind of a gleam in his eye. And how you doing, George?
Fine, Billy. Thank you very much. It's great to have you on NPR here, taking this not only to Chicago listeners, but throughout the country. We're really delighted. I'm speaking on behalf of the city of Chicago. We're really delighted that National Public Radio, Jazz Alive, is doing this evening and for the last two nights, too.
Well, you have been given a new position since I was last in town. What exactly is your position with the city?
My official title is Entertainment Coordinator for the City of Chicago. I work in the Mayor's Office of Special Events, and we produce all kinds of festivals throughout the summer, including Chicago Fest and the neighborhood festivals. And the Jazz Festival is very close to me because I'm also a director of the Jazz Institute of Chicago and host a big band program on WBEZ, NPR's affiliate in Chicago. We're delighted by the success of this festival, and as I mentioned last night, we'll be doing it again next year too. And we hope that NPR will come back and join us again next year.
Some interesting things are going to take place next year because of the success of this particular festival. And you were just telling me earlier that there will be some kind of exchange.
That's right. In fact, Mayor Byrne is in Europe right now for a variety of purposes, and one of which is to explore cultural exchanges with European musicians, primarily in the area of classical music. We want to exchange our jazz musicians for classical musicians, and as you suggested the other night, we should exchange them for some jazz musicians in Europe too, because I know there are many fine jazz musicians in Europe, so we'll look into that too. We want to go to several cities and show people in Europe what our musicians today are like. We're very proud of jazz musicians in Chicago. I'm very happy now to be with the city because it gives me a chance to share my interest in jazz with a lot of people, so I'm very grateful.
That's very distracting. They're testing the mics, and the noise that you hear in the background is rather distracting to both of us, George.
Right.
But I appreciate your telling us about the cultural exchange, because I think you are spearheading a very important one, and you're absolutely right. Many of the musicians that I'm sure you will be instrumental in sending to the European shores will be musicians who possibly would not get there under these auspices, under any auspices,
right.
Unless they were sent by Chicago. So that's a very commendable thing, and I would like to congratulate you and wish you a great deal of success in your endeavors, and I'd like to congratulate you once again for the personal efforts that you put forth in terms of making this kind of thing happen.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks again for coming to Chicago.
Thank you, George Smith. We have a lot of music that's coming to us in just a moment, and this is Jazz Alive coming your way. And one of the perils of doing a live show is that we're here on stage left, and Steve Taylor is yelling in the mics to make sure that they have enough going for them to take this next group, because the next group is going to be Muddy Waters, and it's going to need everything that the mics can put out, because he's going to put a lot in there. Sitting across the table from me is Michael Kaskuna, and Michael, you've been very interested in various kinds of blues, and you've interviewed a lot of people who were blues performers, and you really are, from a personal standpoint as well as a professional standpoint, interested in the music.
Yeah, very much so, and very much looking forward to this performance. I really first got into, sort of made the evolution. I guess a lot of people do that, in whatever music you get into, you end up starting with the pioneers and working your way up in the evolution in which it happened, and that was with a lot of the people that made the transition from the South to the urban areas, most notably to Chicago. In fact, Muddy was one of those people, and there are early, very folk blues recordings of Muddy. This, I'll tell you, an interesting thing about this kind of blues, and there's so many different kinds, is that these people really, Elmore James and Muddy and Howlin' Wolf, of which only Muddy survives of that group, really forged a whole pattern that became R&B and also rock and roll.
That's right. The interesting thing to me is how someone would take specific elements and put it together with something else, come up with rock and roll or come up with rhythm and blues and say, hey, this is brand new, and merchandise it. And you hear these guys, they've been doing this kind of thing for so long, and you know exactly what the source is. And ultimately, some of the English guys and some of the American people, performers, began to say, yeah, well, I really got this from Muddy, or I got this from B.B.
Well, we're going to hear the source tonight.
That's for sure.
A couple of seconds.
Just a couple of seconds. They really are pretty well established. And here comes Don DeMichael out to the microphone to introduce the next group.
Won't be long. You know, one of the things that makes Chicago the jazz city of the whole world is the great blues tradition that we have in this city. And that is what really gives Chicago its musical depth and contribution to American culture. A young man came up here in 1943 from Mississippi. And he had a guitar with him. And he got up here and he discovered electricity and an amplifier. And he formed a band. And from that point on, the blues and music were never the same. Because the home of the electric blues, modern blues, is right here in Chicago, as all of you know. And that man from Mississippi was Muddy Waters. And the whole world owes him a debt. I'd like to introduce the Muddy Waters Blues Band. We have George Mojo Buford on harp, and that's not a stringed instrument in the blues. Rick Kreher, guitar. John Primer, guitar. Earnest Johnson, bass. Ray Allison, drums. And Lovie Lee on piano. Ladies and gentlemen, the Muddy Waters Blues Band.
Until the day you die. Oh, why you so mean? I'll be good to you, I'll be kind as a man can be. Your breakfast, baby, I'm gonna bring it to the bed. Or even when you get tired, I'm gonna rub your aching head. Oh, why you so mean to me? I'll be good to you, I'll be kind as a man can be. To you.
and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is now start time. Do you hear me out there? And when I say start time, ladies and gentlemen, I mean the one and only the power of the blues, Money Hoochie Coochie.
Thank you very much. What about giving my band a nice round of applause? Thirsty. Bring me a reaper when I wanna get high. Bring me champagne when I'm thirsty. Bring me a reaper when I wanna get high. Sitting right down here by my side. Shouldn't be no law. It's people that want to smoke a little dope. That want to smoke. Well, you know it's good for your head and to relax your body. Gone. My head down in my bed. messing around with no cocaine. I'm going to the south side of Chicago. This is going out for a lot of my friends from the south side of Chicago. Yeah, Barbara and her kids and a lot of my good friends. The man Sunshine's coming. Don't be a son of a gun. Because I'll make pretty women jump and shout. Then the world wanna know what it's all about. But you know I'm here. Everybody knows I'm here. Well, you know I'm the hoochie man. Everybody knows. I got a black cat bone. I got a mojo too. I got the John the Conqueror. I'm gonna mess with you. I'm gonna make you guys leave me by my hand. Then the world will know that I'm the chick man. But you know I'm here. Everybody knows me. Now you know I'm the hoochie man. Everybody knows. On the 7th hour, on the 7th day, on the 7th month, the 7th doctor said he was born for good luck, and that you see, I got $700, and don't mess with me, but you know I'm here. Everybody knows me. Well, you know we are the hoochie boys. The whole round world know we, yeah. Look out. Chicago just don't work over.
Let's give him a bad big hand this week.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything gonna be all right this morning. Oh, yeah. Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I'm gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21. You got Now believe me, honey, I have lots of fun. I'm a man. Woo! I spell you. Hey, child. In that rubber band made. No beat. Oh, child. Why? That mean mannish boy. Man, woo! I'm a natural lovers, man. Man, I'm a rolling stone. Man, woo! I'm a hoochie coochie man. Ah, yeah. Never miss. When I make love to a woman, she can't resist. I think I go down to old Kansas stew. I'm gonna bring back the second cousin, little John the Conqueror. Oh, little girl, standing out that line. I can make love to you, baby, in 5 minutes now. Ain't that a man? I'll spell him. Hey, child. Yeah. That rubber band man. Love me. Oh. Why? That means mannish boy. Man, I'm a natural born lover, man. Man, yeah. I'm a natural born lover, man. Man, child, I'm a hoochie coochie, man.
The father of the blues, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give him a great big hand to sing it. Molly Hoochie Coochie Wonders. One time
Muddy Waters. Muddy Waters. Muddy Waters and the Muddy Waters Blues Band. That's fantastic. We're going to have to carry on. Got more for you. Got more for you. We got more for you. Who's more?
McKinley Morganfield, Muddy Waters. I tell you, I've been to revival meetings that didn't have that much soul. They're yelling for more. This audience really demonstrated the kind of call and response and the closeness of the blues to the spiritual thing that I was talking about a little earlier. Chicago blues, you can't beat it. You really can't. Muddy Waters. We'll pause now 10 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves. From Chicago, I'm Billy Taylor, and this is NPR, National Public Radio.
You're hearing live stereo coverage of the Chicago Jazz Festival on WBEZ Chicago.
This is Jazz Alive. This is the 1980 Chicago Jazz Festival from Chicago's Grant Park, and we're coming to you live via satellite. And tonight's Chicago Jazz Prism is really demonstrating the many diverse kinds of jazz that can really get through to a large number of people. We've got from about 50 to 75,000 people out here tonight, and every one of them was touched by Muddy Waters and his group. That is some group. Muddy Waters with George Mojo Buford and Rick Kreher and John Primer, Lovie Lee, Ernest Johnson, Ray Allison. What a group. They really got into it. We have the